guys, I'm Ash Fortis and I'm here in my Salon XO Hair Lab. And today we're gonna be doing an awesome transformation. I'm gonna be collaborating with my model, Olivia. We're gonna give you guys some Halloween inspiration. So we're gonna give you guys a great breakdown so that you can understand how to do this yourself at home. Not at home. Beautiful model here has a current fade out of her last transformation where we did some rainbow roots. So you can see that beautiful color still has a little bit of fading left. It's faded into a beautiful pastel. She's working with about 2 inches of her natural regrowth. On a level scale, it puts her around a level 5-6. We want to jump her up to a level 9-10 for this transformation. We're going to be utilizing a method I like to call Criss Cross. So working from our left front quadrant, that's going to cross over into our right back quadrant, and then our front right quadrant is going to crisscross back to our left back quadrant. And you guys are gonna see our placement in that in a little bit. As you guys can see, we've got nice balanced sections, and what we're gonna be doing is this formula, again, is going to cross over to this quadrant and match. And then this formula is gonna vary just a little bit, but it's gonna match this back quadrant.
And we're done.
Poof. So today we're going to be working with Pulp Riot's Blonde AF Lightener. It's a blue-based lightener. It also has quinoa in there, and that's going to help nourish the hair, give it back its moisture, and help aid us in the lightening process. We're going to be working with a combination of 30 volume and 10 volume, working with around a 25 volume. We're also going to be working with Olaplex. We add this into our lightener. It's there to help preserve the integrity of the hair and help us while lifting. It's going to give us nice high lifted results while also making sure that we've nourished the hair and maintained the integrity. So for this fun transformation, we're also going to be working with my favorite extensions. These are tape-ins. They're ultimates from Hotheads. What I love about these extensions is, as you can see right here on the tab, unlike most tape-ins, the hair goes all the way up to the tab. This is going to give us the most natural tape-in that we can have. What we've done is with these extensions, we went ahead and started lightening them. We wanted them to match her canvas, so we just decided to lift them up about a level and a half. We utilized Pulp Riot's Blonde AF Lightener again, and with this, we just utilized 10 volume in Olaplex. We still want to maintain the integrity of the extension, and since we only have to lift about a level and a half, so with the 10 volume, we decided to go with a low and slow process to preserve the integrity of the hair. So we're going to be working with our global lightening first. We're going to be attacking this 2-inch regrowth with utilizing our lightener. One thing that we want to do and be mindful of, and what you'll see is I'm going to be working in vertical sectioning, really being mindful to make sure that I'm saturating right onto her root and feathering right to this line of demarcation where she has her previous lightening. I'm going to be extra mindful to just be feathering that area so that I can minimize how much overlapping is happening throughout the lightening process. Once I've lifted her roots up to where I want them, I'm going to take her down at the bowl. We're going to blank canvas and clear out the rest of her canvas to a even blonde. We're going to be utilizing blank canvas throughout the ends because it's less damaging than lightener, it's less aggressive, and it's just really there meant to remove the remainder pastel semi-permanent color that we have left in. So we're going to be very careful and meticulous as we apply this retouch. It should process for anywhere from 35 minutes to 45 minutes depending on her. So we're going to be mixing up our Blonde AF lightener. I like to do about an average of 2 scoops. I like to level them out. Consistency is really important for me when I'm doing a global bleaching. I don't want my consistency to be too thick and hard to work with or too thin and cause irritation. I'm going to start with my 30 volume. It's about 2 ounces. So I'm going to start pouring in. Look at my consistency as I go. This is more of a feeling for hairdressers, but I would recommend that you don't make your consistency too thin, again, causing not enough lift, and then also not having or avoiding any future irritation. And if it's too thick, it'll be harder to work with and it'll also dry out. So I'm gonna go ahead and start putting some of that 10 volume in there, cutting my 30 down. I want to make sure that it has a thicker consistency before I start adding in my Olaplex because that will dilute down my lightener as well. So, and again, make sure that it's not too thin before moving into that step. So with that 2-ounce scoop of lightener, we matched equal parts. So we're at a 4.1 ounce together. So that would be equal parts developer with equal parts lightener. And then moving from there, that's when we're going to add in our Olaplex. You want to see us come up to the 1/8 mark. We're going to add in our dose of Olaplex. And then continue mixing. Make sure that you're mixing thoroughly so you have a really great batch of lightener. Lightener usually maxes out at around 55 minutes, so I recommend getting a new fresh batch each time you go into a new section. So don't overmix. Give yourself the appropriate amount of lightener that you need for those subsections, and then make a new fresh batch. And this is my ideal perfect consistency. Not too thick, not too thin. And our frosting is ready. Miss Olivia, I'm gonna have you look down. Having my guests look down is just gonna help me to really get in from the crown into this nape area. I really like to work in vertical sections because it helps me to control the hair very well. I also like to keep my brush as clean as possible while working, getting a bead of lightener. Here on the sides, I'm just gonna take that residual lightener off of my brush. So one important thing is holding tension and really starting at the root in this case, because our overlapping is more towards that band. So I want to just start by getting my lightener onto the root and making sure that I've got a really great saturation of lightener there. And I can kind of feather, and I can go when I double cross check back in, I can move that over a little bit more. So you're gonna see me work from that middle section, and I'm gonna work from the middle to the left. Then I'm gonna come back, cross check, and then move from the middle to the right. Each section I take about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch section, making sure that it's thin enough to really get enough of the saturation of lightener and to have enough control. And I like to re-lift up my lightener from time to time, just making sure that it's staying nice and it's not getting too fluffy or expanded. Again, about 55 minutes from mix, you want to recheck your lightening, your lightener bowl. You might want to mix up a new fresh batch. You might even want to go in and saturate twice. It just depends on your guest and their goals and the capability of the lifting. So whatever their hair is capable of doing in that process. Another reason I like to use Pulp Riot's Blonde AF lightener, on scalp it's a lot more gentle than most lighteners I've used. I personally suffer from very severe scalp psoriasis, so the on-scalp lightening is usually irritating to most people, but can be super irritating to those that have any types of dry scalp. So winter time, you might find your clients suffer more when they're doing these retouches, or for somebody like me who has chronic issues, every time can be uncomfortable. So having a lightener like this that's more gentle on the scalp and causes less irritation, super beneficial for me. So a little saturation there. You can see, again, most of my product is really at the root. Some people forget this step and they don't get even coverage on the base of the root. And then they deal with more overlapping because it is going to swell. Lightener swells as it works. It really swells with the heat zone, which is a 1/4 inch off of the scalp, because of course on our bodies we produce heat, some of us more than others. So you want to be mindful when you are lifting to not add additional heat to your service of lightening, to be mindful of their heat sources. Everyone's different. Anyone that's going through different medications can produce more heat. People that have some health issues can also produce more heat. If they're going through menopause or anything of that nature, that can contribute to more heat, which in return can result in more damage if you're not being careful. And this is how you should be applying as you work. Again, the back is already processing, so you want to make sure that it's been saturated well. As you can see, we had great saturation to begin with, but the hair is really porous, so it's going to grab that lightener and take it. And the hair next to it might have not gotten all that it needed, so make sure that you go in double, triple, quadruple, many ever times to ensure that you've got an even lift. Not missing any spots. Nothing worse. I'm a perfectionist, so kind of keeps me up at night. Hair nightmares, yeah. You're like, you could have gotten that spot. Worthless. Get back in the game. Call them. You're coming back. So I'm going to be using a little bit of this. It's actually a backwards bib from Mar. I just went ahead and cut it. What I'm going to do is utilize this on top of her bleach out. It's just going to work with the warmth coming off of her scalp and make sure it kind of distributes it throughout the back. It's kind of cool in this salon, so if you feel like your lift isn't getting up light enough, fast enough, don't add additional heat sources, just let their own natural heat source kind of lift and work. So we're just encasing that back section, and it just kind of helps for a clean application as I move to this back section. What you're gonna notice is I'm still gonna be carrying these sections in a vertical sectioning, subsectioning. We're gonna be working them backwards to keep her face clean, make sure that we've got good movement, make sure that when we cross-check, we're not having to work dangerously close to her face with lightening. All right, so we're kicking it with these homies here. These are Pulp Riot semi-permanent colors, and we're gonna be using a variety of these throughout today's transformation, and while we custom color our hothead tape and extensions. So you guys can tell, we went ahead and lifted those up about a level and a half. We didn't tone these, they're very porous, so you wanna be mindful if you are toning, you could accidentally overtone. I wanna continue to work with warmth, so that's why I left the canvas of the extension on the lighter but warmer side. I didn't want to create any ash tone. So on my extensions, I'm gonna be creating a hair feather. This is just gonna be something that we pop into Olivia's transformation after we do the Criss Cross method, and that's gonna give us a really fun little additional creative pop. You're gonna see me gradate colors in a, almost like a V chevron pattern. You're gonna see that pattern just continue to work down from the root to the ends. So as you guys can see here, we have clear. Clear is one of my absolute favorite colors. The reason clear is one of my favorite colors is it's a great diluter. You're gonna see us utilizing this. R.I.P. So clear is one of my favorite because it's actually a white diluter. It's not like your typical semi-permanent color. A lot of the ones I see on the market are just diluting. They're just kind of spreading out your formula. This being white base actually pastelizes your formula. So I really love that. What's nice about Pulp Riot, not only is the imagery really fun and sourced by local artists, our tubes are really fun. They're also super informative. You're gonna see clear written here. Clear is going to be used throughout our entire transformation, and when you see our negative space utilized later, you're gonna see us utilize a lot of the clear. So I'm gonna start. You guys can actually see how white the formula is. And what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna go ahead and create my lighter and warmer orange. It's gonna be a much softer color that you'll see. What I'm gonna utilize is I'm gonna use Lava from Pulp Riot. Lava is our neon orange. I love this color because you can utilize it really vibrantly. But today we're gonna be utilizing it for some really fun deep oranges as well as really soft light. So I always recommend starting lighter and building your depth. This helps to offer more control while building out your formula. So I just put a little dash. I'm gonna go ahead and start mixing up to see if that's the color tone I want to utilize. As we were saying about our extension earlier, it's been pre-lightened, so it is porous. So I have to consider the porosity while coloring. I know that it's gonna take this color true to tone. So if I really like what I see in front of me, I'm gonna trust this extension to take it true to tone. It could take it just a little bit darker. Again, porosity is one of those variables that as a colorist, you really wanna take into a very individual one-on-one diagnostic. This is not a car transmission. You wanna take it on an individual one-on-one basis from client to client to really make sure that the color is gonna be what you'd like to see. So I really like this formula. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut it down. I'm gonna utilize that formula and pastelize it a little bit more. I'm gonna add to this one, making sure that this is that varying orange, gonna be a little bit darker. So we already know that in that case, we need to add more volume. So I'm gonna add more of that, a little bit more of this. Gonna have more dominance of our clear. So this one, we're going to be utilizing more ratio of clear. This one, a little less. you can build whatever medium of depth you would like for your own personal transformation, but you want them to vary. You want them to be noticeably different than each other. That way, even if you use them closely together, each line of the feather, each color of the feather is going to make a big difference when they stand out next to each other. So I'm going to get a bead of color. I'm going to start actually at the bottom because I'm going to be taking my darker colors and working inward, kind of darker into that lighter formula, my next color into that. So for tension purposes, I'm going to start on the ends. This is going to already start to move my extension into a proper placement. It's also going to allow me to go ahead and start creating that V from my feather. This is just going to help make sure that I'm able, and this mesh that I'm using underneath is a really great tool. I'm able to lay another mesh on top, flip it over, make sure that I've gotten proper saturation. So I'm just going to amplify and make sure that my product is really good. I'm going to go ahead and start to apply here as well. Again, just anchoring that tension. Like we said before, we can bring this color all the way to the tab. Don't worry about little loose hairs. You won't see them when it's all finished. So I believe in being meticulous, but you have a little room for those little hairs. They're kind of those surface pieces and extensions. You're not going to have everything going to the same place. And again, you're just going to see me working in more of that V pattern, taking my brush vertically, moving the hair around to make sure I've gotten proper saturation. Got that in color, so I'm going to get the residual off and start working my second formula right off of that. Kind of stamp, stamp. They can overlap a little bit, no big deal. But again, it's up to you how you want these to stand out. If you want to make sure they really stand out next to each other, make sure that that color is very dark and the contrasting color is really light. If you want them to just kind of mimic in similar families, you can do what I'm doing here, which is kind of keeping them in a medium range of tone of each other. So lilac is our pastel purple. It's got a lot of nice vibrancy underneath it, so I do want to use it in both formulas. I'm going to use straight lilac for my lightest pastel of this purple formulation, and I'm going to make sure that my other formula is a little bit darker. This one's Nevermore. Nevermore is meant to be a more muted, grungy, deeper purple. You guys can see my mixing, still got the vibrancy, but still getting much deeper than our other formula. So I'm going to get another bead of color. I'm going to start again with my darker tone because we want each line of the feather to really showcase. So next to the light color, we're going to put our darkest purple formula. And you're just going to see me working kind of in a stamp. I'm really just going to do a little bit of pressing first, get my tension control, and then work. Here, I like to work a little bit bottom up. A little bit of feathering just at that line. Give it a little bit of a blur. And then retension by pulling vertical sections down. Just kind of helps that initial blur line. You can make these as large as you'd like or as finely detailed as you'd like. I've picked about a 2-inch section for each of them. I'd like to, hopefully by the middle, be able to bring the orange back in. We still have 2 silvers after the purples to go, so it might just be a little baby one in the middle. We'll see. Now we're working with our lighter purple. We did a panel in Hawaii, and I was like, well, we're up here early, like, what do I do with my hands kind of moment? And I was like, we're gonna do ASMR because the mic is on right now and there's nothing else I should be doing. So yeah, then I had a co-conspirator next to me that just made the ASMR go way over the top. It was beautiful. It's beautiful. Smoke. Smoky. 2 guns, 1 show. Lights, camera, action. All right, blue-based, violet-based. So we're gonna get a little bit crazy with our formula here, over here in smoke, because smoke is very blue-based. What's nice about Mercury is it has a violet base, so that's going to be more for your opalescent level 10 blonde. It's going to look very pearly, very light, it's very beautiful. This one, on the other hand, if we were to apply this straight, it'd look very bluish, possibly blue-green. Taking into account the underlying pigment is a little warmth. We do want the warmth there. We're going to have to do a little neutralizing in formula. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding some Mercury so that that blue is balanced by violet, because there is the violet undertone in Mercury. Another fun fact in color theory, lava. Lava is the secret sauce for making a very neutral, beautiful silver. The reason is orange cancels blue. So you want to neutralize the blue by canceling it out with orange. So we're going to go ahead and put a decent little dosage in there. We're going to get to mixing. Make sure we like our tonality. Start seeing that blue being removed. We still need a little bit more. I'm gonna add in a little bit of lilac. That's gonna give us a little bit more on the purple side. I prefer more of a purple-ized neutral silver. I'm gonna put in a little bit of lilac. Add some more lava. Little firefly, just to brown it out. And a little bit more neutral silver. And again, a little bit more on that purple. All right, Noir, super dark, super spooky. A little bit goes a long way. So literal drops at a time. I think 2 should probably be sufficient, but I'll find out in a minute. So I love this. And this will probably be her actual root silver and her oranges. So all these formulas are going to be utilized throughout her hair, but this is just going to give some statement pieces when we're done. Light silver. Delicious. Actually, I don't recommend this at home, but you could eat this. It is gluten-free, it's vegan, animal cruelty-free, and people have been known to actually eat mouthfuls of this. I kind of want to do it, but I also don't want to do it. Because I've literally seen people like scoop it and be like, and I'm like, no, and they just swallowed it. I swear, I bet you're watching. I know you're watching. You did it. It was at a state RDA show with Salon Center, and Home Dude's like, yeah, we can eat it. So Zito started the trend. I'm gonna finish it. I don't recommend it. I didn't want to give it a full chance. I backed out.
Do you taste the 2 drops of Noir?
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
no, that was Mercury. No, I don't want to taste that one. That one's really potent. So I kind of intentionally left those a little bit smaller, just for a fun little breakup. To mesh. One.
To mesh or not to mesh?
To mesh or not to mesh. Always mesh. Makes your job easier. Boom. Look at that. Nobody wants hollow areas. Look at all that hollow. So you have a great guide. Pull our colors back over. And these are the sounds of a hairdresser. That'll be its own ASMR. See, segue to ASMR. Listen to the mesh as we pull it apart. Listen to the smooshing. My mic's not close enough. Sweep your colors side to side. I would just pull it down for as far as you need it to go so that you can still put that right back on top. Troublemakers. It's like when you have friends, they all get you into trouble because they're just so bad all the time. Y'all are gonna have, if I had to do any voiceovering, I'm kicking you out. Can't do anything serious. 6 a.m. Solid gold. Okay, don't forget your pattern. Don't get distracted. The true Criss Cross. And then add these in for like, and another, if you want to take it over the top. Finito. Perfect.
Cool, now it's ready for Amazon shipping.
That's right. and right back at ya. So I'm just going to towel dry her hair. We're going to go get it blown out before we apply our semi-permanent colors for the best coverage and results. Quadrant over here. I'm going to root her first. It's going to encapsulate and just make my job easier. So I'm going to start from here, and then I'm going to do the opposite color on that side, and then I'll cross them. Work in small subsections. Take my mesh. She's got these little baby hairs, so you're gonna just work to control those. That negative space color is going to be that really light silver. This is kind of a weaker front section guide. This is not like the thickest section for her. So as you take down the next section or two, you'll have a better guide. You'll get to see how much of the tips you want to leave, how much of the blonde we want to leave. I want to work with some of that blonde. So I want to have the purple tips. I'm gonna leave a little bit of that blonde negative space with that really light, nice light silver. Take control of my section, working with a bead of color. And I'm looking to just mimic what I've done before. Just a little line of reflection. Once the water rinses, it'll actually cool it down, so it'll be a little bit cooler toned, but I just want a tiny baby shine of reflection. Small sections really do help. I know it's tedious, but it's the best way to ensure that you are getting everything covered. All right, so we're gonna be finishing up this quadrant, and then we're gonna be moving into the opposite quadrant so you guys can get a chance to see both colors at play. We're gonna be repeating this process with each subsection, so stay tuned. So here's our finish from our front right quadrant. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do our opposite color scheme on her left front quadrant, and then what you guys will see later is that crossing. Those formulas are gonna stay in their families, they're just gonna cross, yes, crisscross applesauce. You're just gonna crisscross applesauce, for sure. This formula is gonna match this formula quadrant, this formula quadrant is gonna match that formula quadrant. So big crisscross applesauce. I'm gonna outline my section first. We're gonna go ahead and use that same silver formula. We're gonna hold tension on the bottom, just while I get this first section going. We're gonna change the ends to this brighter, lighter orange. Just gonna do a little feathering. And that looks comparable to our other shine line. So I'm gonna take my section again, lay it on top. Go ahead and secure my bottom with tension. So we're just gonna continue following our pattern, finish up this quadrant, and then you'll get to see the final result processing. All right, so now that we finish our front quadrants, we're gonna go ahead and start working and crisscrossing our formulations. Our application. As you guys can see, we have those crossing quadrants. We left a little bit of negative space just to give it a little bit of a shine line. What's gonna happen when we rinse, it's gonna just lightly tone that blonde area, so you'll see that little gradient melt, but you'll have a fun little point of focus. You guys can see those formulas. We did the purple tips here. We did our orange tips back here. We crossed our sections, again having our lavender tips, and then crossing our quadrant one more time for those neon orange tips. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna let her process for 35 minutes, and then we're gonna take her down to the shampoo bowl and rinse with cold water. All right guys, so what we're doing right now is we're gonna go ahead and get her blown out. I'm using Davines all-in-one milk. I love this for giving me a nice easy blow dry. This is gonna nourish her hair, fill in those nice little porous divots, and just give me a lot easier control during her blow dry. I'm also using High Dive from R&Co. This is one of my other favorite products. It's a really nice shine lotion. For her hair, it's gonna offer me a little bit of control, but also it's gonna facilitate a nice blow dry. It's gonna shorten the time I have to blow dry. Also gonna help in my detangling process. Last but not least, we're gonna be using Davines Oil. I love this product because it's gonna be kind of the cosmetic aid. It's clear, so it's not gonna disrupt any of her color. It's also, again, just gonna help me put a little bit of moisture back into her hair. It's gonna help me while I'm working with her texture, just smoothing down her hair, controlling it, and giving it some more moisture and shine. I'm a professional. And then my cute bird. Ah! All right, so our model Olivia has been fully transformed into a Vixen Vamp, so we're gonna go ahead and bring her on. I'm gonna turn her around so you guys can really capture those quadrants. See how we crisscross them? They have a really nice, beautiful flow together. Have her do a nice little spin, get her hands in there. All right, so we just got done installing our Hothead extensions that we customize. As you can see here, when I lift up her hair, we just kind of place them slightly diagonal. And we just had a little fun flare, little pop in of color dimension. When laying it over, you just see a few of those little breakthroughs. Over here, we added a few as well. You can just see it kind of just breaks up that crisscross. All right, so I had a great time with my girl. She slayed the makeup. We had an awesome 9-hour day. I love how it came out. She screams Halloween, so we're excited to, I hope she videos every comment she gets from today till after Halloween. All right, so if you want to keep up with us in the future, make sure you follow me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is XOStylistXO.
Mine is Olivia Cara Lee.
And join us next time for another fun transformation.